going on. And there's some very cool stuff going on. So as I've been speaking across the churches here, especially in the Lower Mainland, and in different youth groups with different cultures and communities, it's the youth that keeps coming to me and saying, Kari, my parents don't have a clue what we're having to battle in the schools. My parents have no idea what's really transpiring in the culture. And I don't care whether you're homeschooled or in the church or in the world, this culture is being designed to be altered. There is dysfunction. You know, drugs almost make sense these days from the lunacy that's happening out there as we turn upside down what is true, what is reality, what is male, what is female. At what point do we say enough is enough? And I've been so blessed to see these youth stand up and go, empower me, give me the tools, give me the language, tell us how to fight back on this stuff. Stand with us. And one of the first things I did when I heard about what was happening in Bateman is I phoned your principal. I said, you mess with any of those kids, my lawyers will be in there. Each one of those kids that's not accounted for as far as attendance goes, they have a lawyer, okay? So any nonsense like that, I want to tell you because you are going to be encouraged more and more, and not encouraged because of what people are saying around you, because of what's driving your heart. There's going to come a point, just like for you students, where you say, I don't need this nonsense. Like, how much are we going to be inundated with this? How much are we going to allow our minds to be polluted? How much are we just going to give over to this insanity and go along with everything we know is not true, right? Everything from pronouns, right, to, I mean, at what point would you just like to see your school kind of purged of the propaganda and politics associated with sex activism?
Yeah.
I think so. And this is supposed to be your education. This is supposed to be equipping you with the tools to do what you need to do to be successful in life. And instead, your time is being, I'll use Ethan's words, wasted. And I go, wow, man, that young man's got it, right? Why? Your time is valuable. Your headspace is valuable. Your knowledge base is valuable and should not be being wasted on things that are not going to assist you in life but are designed for a political agenda. Now, I use the term sex activism. Sex activism I do very carefully because I have a lot of friends in the LGBTQ community, and every one of those friends does not agree with what's going on. They are being used, and I would say that if we were had more time here to talk about cultural movements like socialism and fascism and communism and all those other things, we could delve into what's really transpiring here and what's really being altered on our culture. But right now we have dysfunction, right? We have kids who are being trained to be victims, right? Instead of encouraging you to be strong, healthy individuals, we are robbing you of that identity and giving you this weird one that is not going to assist you in life. And I've seen this now with the youth. You're rising up all over this province, and it's a good thing. The churches, okay? I used to be very frustrated with the churches. The church leadership owes you young people a big apology. We have not been on guard for this nation. We have not protected you. We have sent you, and we've closed blind eyes for a lot of this leadership and said, oh, you'll survive, you know, you'll know Jesus on Sunday, but the rest of the 6 days, whatever. And I can tell you there's a great amount of apology going on within the church leadership at this point. When my team of volunteers said, oh, Kari, let's hold a pastor's meeting, I'll be very honest with you. I said, I don't want to waste my time. You know, give me the world anytime. When they get righteously angry about something, they move. They don't make apologies. They don't say, oh, we have to be nice. They go, let's get her done, right? With the church often, it's been this pull, and I can tell you as somebody who's been working in this area for over 20, 30 years now, it's a challenge. So when we held this pastor's meeting, I'm driving there thinking, 16 to 20 pastors would be doing good. When I turned around to speak, there were 89 pastors there. We said, well, you want another info meeting? They said, yeah. I said, well, you bring 3 or 4 more people. They said, yeah. The next meeting had over 200 pastors. There is something happening here. And we work with all communities, okay? We work with the Sikh community, the Chinese, all the different cultures everywhere. But what I'm happiest about is seeing the church finally take a stand on these issues. And we need this more and more. We have all these different events that go on, and yet nobody in leadership is speaking. So today when I was addressing, because earlier today we spoke to a group of pastors here in Abbotsford, I said, how many will go to the school where this happened as pastors and talk to your principal and say, we are here to protect our people? Because that's what's happening everywhere else. If somebody was going to be transitioning into your school, you know what would happen? There would have been about 5 meetings having taken place already. There would be a special liaison person set up to support. Your classrooms would have been visited to say, oh, well, you know, Lucy's coming back as Luke, right? You know, and this is just normal. It's totally normal. And if anybody does or says anything, you're the bad guy. So why not the same thing for when a group of Christians stand up and say, we don't want this anymore, right? These are good kids. There'll be a lot of the kids that were following you that aren't Christians as well. We need to be open. There's a big movement happening here from a variety of backgrounds, from a variety of places. One of our top speakers that's working with us is a trans male named Jen Smith. He is a he. He does not want to be a she, except that he likes to wear blonde wigs and lipstick and has some really good jewelry. But he is, he's one of our greatest voices in this. He says, I am not a woman. Biologically, what is in my head is never going to translate into my biological reality, okay? We need to say these things. We need not to play in the pronoun game. I was speaking Barry Neufeld. We had Barry Neufeld's the trustee who's taken a stand against the Soji in Chilliwack. And literally all hell broke loose when he took a stand and said, I'm not going to do this. You know, the media went after him. He was every name in the book. I've been called every name. I think my list is way longer than his. He's got a little ways to go. But you know what? All this nonsense. But they're from what I call the squawkbox choir. There's this group always, and it's small. It's not very large, of people, and they're well-intentioned. And you know what? That's what makes this battle hard. So many of them, now, not everybody, the sex activists with their political agenda, definitely. But a lot of the people who want to be friends and want to be allies are very well-intentioned. And that's what makes this so hard to deal with, right? But you know what, with love, we have to tell the truth. And in this meeting, on a very few short days' notice, I said, you know what, we need to support Barry in Chilliwack. So we decided to hold a rally. You know, nearly 500 people showed up, just like that, to support somebody who had taken a stand, okay? And as young people, you're gonna see that happen as you take more leadership. And if you're given license and support, we're not sending you out on your own, support to understand what your legal rights are, what you have a right to participate in. So with Barry, we had one very active sex activist by the name of Morgan Auger, who always is in the papers and seeks the limelight and everything. And he was giving Laura Lynn a bit of a rough go because she got her pronouns a little mixed up. And you know, when I got up to speak, now he is the guy that's hauling people up before human rights commissions because they won't identify him as a woman. All this nonsense. He was married once, he's fathered 2 children, but now he's gonna be a mom, right? And I can tell you stories about that, but we don't have that much time tonight. But, you know, so now they want me to play the name game with his mental health issues, right? And I don't do that. So he was giving Laura Lynn a hard time. When I stood up to the podium, I said, Morgan, I will defend your right to wear a wig, wear high heels, put lipstick on. I will defend all this. We live in a free country. I have free will. We have freedom of choice here. But what I won't let you do is demand that I fall into what your agenda is. I said, my reality begins where your delusion ends, right? Your delusion is not going to impose itself into my reality. And baby, you ain't ever gonna have what I've got here. You know, I'm not all that as being a woman, no matter how hard you try. You know, we have to be careful here because we get sucked into these things. You know, the word heterosexual is being eliminated out of the vocabulary, you know, cisgender this or that. You know, We need to stop playing the game, and you have the right to do that. They can go play their game. They can do it after hours at school. They don't need to be taking up your time. So what has happened as we've traveled across BC, as young people have come up, we have a young girl in Parksville, for instance, who took umbrage because they flew the gay pride flag over her school. She said, no, that's not my flag. My flag is the Canadian flag. That's the flag that's for everybody. This is a political statement you're making, and schools are not supposed to be political. So she made a fuss, and now that's before the Human Rights Commission because she's going to take them on, okay? I've been hauled up before the Human Rights Commission because I put a document allowing parents to express control over what kind of misinformation was being given to their kids and said, don't do this. The sex activists got very upset with me. So they hauled me up before the Human Rights Commission, okay, which is a quasi-court, is similar to a judge. Notoriously known for being what we call left-wing politics. They don't always make the right decisions. But you know what? The day when my secretary said, oh, Kari, they're calling you up, I said, hallelujah, let's do this. Let's do this war. And typically, good, well-intentioned Christians kind of capitulate, and they go for mediation, and then they apologize. And then they are sorry that they offended somebody, and they pay a ridiculous amount of money and promise never to do it again just to get out of the situation. We are in a cultural war, and you guys are on the front line of that. So when I have an opportunity to go and do something, I win. So it took 2 years for us to finally get to Tribunal because I wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to get scared and go, oh, bad Kari, naughty, naughty, naughty Kari. She'll never do that again. But I don't have that in me. I don't have that in me to play games. I don't have that in me to give over my rights, the land that I have rightful ownership to stand upon. So then they said, okay, fine, then we'll go to Tribunal. Well, by then the complainants, there were 9 of them, got so scared that I had to subpoena the complainants to show up at their own case. Go figure that one, okay? That's a document that's now going to compel them. Remember, they're the ones that said, oh, we're going to haul Kari in. Now I had to get a legal document compelling them to show up at their own hearing. Go figure. That's what happens when you stand up to the bullies, okay? That's what happens when you're standing on what's doing right. And it's your standing. Pizza's here. Far more important than what I have to say. Okay, let's take a vote on that. I saw that, man. So what happened with that, they finally produced one witness. We got so much damning information about how he was bullying little 5-year-olds in his kindergarten class. They have to check their religious beliefs at my classroom door is what he said on transcript, right? Oh, you shouldn't be saying those kinds of things. So they actually withdrew the case, okay? So that's what happens when you take these stands. And it's great to be doing that because you will be those leaders, and we need those leaders. So one of the things that we've come as support is saying, okay, if we can have gay-straight alliances in the schools, then let's have Youth for Canada clubs as well. Let's give a different picture and an opportunity for you guys to have a place to go and get educated. You are so blessed to live in a free country. You are so blessed to have the right to have a say in what goes on in your world. You are so blessed to have democracy, and yet nobody opens this gift that we have and does what we need to do. We need to engage in our culture. We need to take ownership of it. Your children, your families, and your future are dependent on the decisions that are going to be made here. And we're at a critical point here in Canada as far as freedom of speech goes, as far as freedom of religion goes, as far as your right to stand up and assemble like this. We are precariously perched. And actually, I think that's really why a lot of the churches are coming on board. They know they're in a corner. There's no escape now. You can homeschool, you can stay out of school, you can do all those things, but this culture, it's going to get you. It's going to get you in your jobs. It's going to get you in your business life. We don't have choice. So the good news is now that with all these people coming forward, all these sensible civil Canadians rallying around, we're saying, no, together we are a movement. We are going to do something here. You want these clubs in your schools? Let us know. We will help you. We will support you. We will give you the tools to bring other people on board with this thing. We will bring in speakers. We will do all those things to counter the culture in your schools and make it a better place.